Thank you so much for joining us today for video 4 of our inbound marketing series. I'm glad that you found us, and hopefully these videos can help you unthink the way that you view traditional marketing. In the previous videos, we talked about some dramatic changes that are going on right now in the marketing landscape. We talked about how people are shifting from outbound marketing. They're becoming very resistant to outbound marketing, and they're learning how to block your traditional marketing messages. So if you're trying to reach them via television, via radio, via newspapers, direct mail, cold calls, those type of things, they're not as effective anymore. So we're discussing kind of how to rethink marketing. We're asking you to unthink everything that you've learned about marketing and think about it in terms of inbound marketing. Think about it in terms of what you can do to pull people in to your website and to your online marketing activities. So previously we've discussed two elements of the inbound marketing formula. The first is getting found. The second is converting leads to sales. And here we're going to discuss analyzing why it's important that inbound marketers become excessively paranoid about their marketing. This final element of this methodology is probably one of the most important but overlooked areas of marketing in general. A lot of times, small business owners, including myself, get gung-ho and we get happy about all of the exciting things that we're doing with our marketing. I call it marketing euphoria. It's marketing utopia. It's easy to get caught up in the creative side of things with all the wonderful interest that your campaigns start to generate. But what about measuring and analyzing your results? Those areas are just as important. When you start achieving success with inbound marketing, and I have no doubt in my mind that you will, you're going to receive an incredible self-gratifying high. You did it. You went out there and you followed this methodology and you did it. But I have to warn you, inbound marketing is incredibly addictive. You're going to want to achieve more success. You're going to want to top your previous successes. And when that time comes, if you don't know what's working and what's not working, you're in a world of trouble. It's nearly impossible to figure out how to make the good stuff gooder and the bad stuff go away if you haven't measured the stuff. So this is the way that I look at it. Most small business owners are not applying this marketing methodology yet. Inbound marketing just hasn't caught on in this space yet. I speak to local businesses all the time, and usually inbound marketing, it's not even on their radars. It's not a part of the way that they think. So because of this, from the moment you start to apply it, you will immediately be leaps and bounds ahead of them. By the time they actually realize it, you'll be so far ahead that they'll literally be eating your dust. Not only that, but because of that, you're going to receive a disproportionate benefit because you were an early adopter. It's always the early adopters, the first movers. It's always them that achieve the highest benefit. But that benefit will only last for so long. The tools are freely available. The methodology is freely available. With inbound marketing, there are virtually no barriers to entry. So eventually they'll catch on. And by that time, the goal is and the hope is that you're so far ahead that they can't catch up. We want it to be nearly impossible for them to make that competitive leap. So if you want to stay in the front, you can't just rest on your laurels and wait for the competition to catch up. That's a mistake that many businesses make. They work hard to get found and to convert, but then they take this passive set it and forget it approach, and they don't bother to analyze and improve. Here's the thing that I want you to keep at the forefront of your mind. First movers, as an early adapter, you cannot keep your competitive edge by staying in a steady state. Being in the lead is a blessing, but in a sense, it's also a curse. Once you're on top, there always is going to be somebody pushing you forward. There's always going to be somebody that's clamoring to push you so that they can be on top themselves. Corporate Darwinism is alive and it's well. You have to fight to stay on the top, which means that you have to always be improving. Intel CEO Andy Grove wrote this book called Only the Paranoid Survive about the company. And I am saying that a good marketer is one that is an obsessively paranoid marketer. Because of this analyzed stage of inbound marketing just cannot be ignored. So the stage is all about analyzing results and then about rinsing and repeating. It's all about doing one of two things. Either you're duplicating the good things or you're trashing or tweaking the bad things that exist in your marketing. With this methodology, let's first deal with how to duplicate the good. As discussed earlier, there are a lot of options that are out there that will achieve amazing success if they're applied appropriately. But when you think about the internet and all the options there are out there, it's like eating an elephant. It's impossible to eat an elephant all in one sitting. You just couldn't do it. You would get a massive bellyache if you tried. The way to eat an elephant, and this is a really small elephant, but I think I could eat them in one sitting. But the way to eat an elephant is to eat it in very small bite-sized pieces, small enough for you to be able to chew and digest. As I guide you through the methodology, I encourage you to just try a little bit at a time. Don't get overwhelmed. Just try things bit by bit and see how it works. I'm reminded, when I talk about this, I'm reminded of a book that I read. It's called $1 Million Consultant by, the guy's name is Dr. Alan Weiss or Weiss. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but he had this philosophy in it that he called the 1% solution. And his 1% solution was that if he got 1% better every single day, then in 70 days, he would be twice as good. And in 37 days, in 1 year, he would be 37 times as good. Let me repeat that again because it's really powerful. If you get better 1% every single day, then in 70 days, you will be twice as good. Within 1 year's time, you will be 37 times as good. Okay, so you don't have to chew the elephant all at once. You just have to do it little by little. It's not about using every fancy tool that you come across. It's about finding the tools that are the best fit for your company and using them well. So Marta of HubSpot has this really awesome slideshow, and I'll include a link to it in the blog post. But this slideshow goes through a lot of it has like 5 different things that you should do as an inbound marketer, and it talks about how to become the awesomest marketer ever. And she really hits the nail on the head. But what I want to call out is this one slide that she has in here that says "Fail fast and evolve faster." And that really is what inbound marketing is about. As a mad marketing scientist, you're going to experiment often. And in order to really evolve, you have to experiment often. And that means that you have to fail often. And that means that you'll have to tweak your formula until you find your sweet spot. You'll have to tweak it until you find what works well for you. And when you work this way, to always improve your formula, what happens is that your system is going to be harder to replicate than the formula for Coca-Cola. I mean, Coca-Cola has been around for 125 years, and I'm still not convinced that they found the original recipe for it. But if you're constantly duplicating the good things in your system, nobody's going to be able to keep up with you and replicate it. When it comes to duplicating the good, my friends Eric and Tim have written a book called Conversations That Win the Complex Sell, which I love because describing the impact of inbound marketing and WordPress and things like that, it gets a little bit complex. So they're helping me through this book kind of streamline things, explain it in a way that's less complicated. But here's an example that I thought was awesome. Consider these numbers: 99, 95, and 4. Write these numbers on a post-it note somewhere, by the way. 99 represents $9.9 million. That was Tiger Woods' annual salary. And 95 represents $950,000. So that's the average PGA salary. It's a pretty big gap. The average PGA golfer is paid less than 10% of Tiger Woods' salary. And Tiger Woods, by the way, didn't have any endorsements or anything special in that number. That's just his PGA salary. And I think that's, it's really absurd and it's frustrating. And you know what's even more absurd about it? When you take a look at Tiger Woods' stats during the same time period, he only performed 4% better than the average golfer. 4%. So what that means to you is that when the competition is fierce, and it is, every percent counts. And even a small competitive edge can give you some huge results. That's why it's so important to duplicate and make clones of all the good stuff in your marketing and in your online marketing strategy. So the second area I want to deal with is trashing the bad or tweaking the bad. Marketing legend John Wanamaker, he is one of the pioneers of marketing theory, and he's credited with saying that half of the money he spends on advertising is wasted, and the trouble is that he doesn't know which half. Now, there are a lot of marketers out there that I know can relate personally with this statement. They feel like their marketing is out of control and they don't know what actions are tied to what results. But here is the problem. Here's the problem with that type of thinking. When Wanamaker said that, that was back in the late 1800s, okay? We're not in the 1800s anymore. These days, we actually know which half of the marketing budget is wasted, or we should. Those days, marketing was about shooting randomly and broadcasting your message and then hoping that you hit something. The way that you measured your marketing was by looking in the rearview mirror. You created a marketing budget to do stuff, and then at the end of the year, you would look back at this anomalous blob of stuff that you created, and then you try and create this ambiguous relationship between the stuff that you did and your sales. But the problem with this is that you didn't know what stuff caused what sales, and you'd come up with a number or some type of measurement of return on an investment, but you truly couldn't figure out what half of your marketing budget was wasted. Now, today, there is no excuse for that. Much of marketing today is measurable. So much of it is measurable. We have tools that allow you to see what specific actions lead to what specific results. You can draw clear lines between a poor result back to the action that caused the result. You can derive important insights and clear conclusions out of daunting data. You can separate the fat from the meat, and you can trim the fat out of your marketing budget. So this analyze stage of inbound marketing will help you know without a doubt which half of the marketing budget was wasted. There's a party going on, an inbound marketing party, and you are invited. Grab your appointment book, open up your calendar, find the nearest post-it note, whatever it is that you need to do, mark your calendar for our monthly inbound marketing party. It's a webinar that we're delivering on the first Wednesday of every month. And who can't use a party in the middle of the week? We're going to discuss some important aspects of inbound marketing. We'll share some great tips that you can apply immediately. And guess what? You don't even have to leave your desk.